Okay, today we are going to be learning about the percent proportion. The percent proportion can be written like this: part over whole is equal to percent over 100, where the part can be found by the word is, whole can be found by the word of, percent can be found by the word percent, and the bottom number on the right is always 100. Remember, when we set up a proportion, you should have same things on top, same things on the bottom, which means the percent and the part, they're going to represent the same things. The whole and 100 represent the same things. Remember, 100% of the whole is the whole, so they are equal. So looking at these statements on the right, if is represents the part, you can see in these statements that 4 is the part because it's connected to the word is. Sometimes the number comes before is, sometimes it comes after is. You can see that if I look for the word of for the whole, that 5 is the whole because it comes after the word of. The of always comes before the whole number, so the whole always comes after the of. And then percent is the easy one to find because it has the percent sign. So once you find the pieces that you have, then what you're left with is the one that's missing. So in this one, it's the percent. In this one, it's the part. And in this one, it is the whole. So let's take a look at the first example. It says, what percent of $15 is $9? So of $15 indicates that that's the whole, is $9 indicates that that's the part, and you can see that we are missing the percent. So if I use my proportion, part over whole equals percent over 100, then I can just plug those pieces of information in. 9, I said, was my part because it's got the word is with it, so it would be 9 over my whole, which is represented by the word of, 15, is equal to my percent. I don't know. Remember, we use the variable in for percent. And then the bottom number is always going to be 100. So I can just plug that in. How do we solve proportions? Well, the same way we did before. We cross multiply because cross products in proportions have to be equal. So I get 15 in is equal to 9 times 100. Then to get in by itself, I divide by 15 on both sides. Now, at this point, I can look and see if I can do this mentally or if I need to use my calculator. I probably can do it mentally, but it would require me to reduce things multiple times. And so, why not? 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 goes into 100 20 times. And so what I end up with is 3 times 20, which is 60. And we were talking about money in this problem. Whoops, but we are missing the percent. So it will be 60%. Keep in mind, only when you're missing the percent do you use the percent sign. That takes you up to the first 2 letter problems. But let's go on to example number 2. It says, what number is 40% of 120? Well, the temptation would be to make the 40 the is, but because it has a percent sign after it, it's actually the percent. Of 120 indicates that 120 is going to be my whole, which means it is the part represented by the word is that we are missing. Remember, the percent proportion is part over whole equals percent over 100. If the part is what we are missing, because the is what's missing, then I'm going to put P on top of the left-hand side. Of indicates my whole, so 120 is my whole amount, which equals to the percent. We can see that is 40% over 100. Always 100 on the bottom right. How do I solve proportions? I cross multiply. So I get 100p is equal to 120 times 40. And then to get p by itself, I'm going to divide by 100 on both sides. Seeing that I have some zeros stacked up, I'm going to mark the 0 off of 40 and one of the zeros off 100. I'm going to mark the 0 off 120 and the remaining 0 off of 100. So what I end up with is just 12 times 4. So P is going to equal 48. I'm going to look back at the problem. Am I talking about money? Am I getting a percent? No, neither one of those is true. So the answer is just P equals 48. So that takes you up to letter problems C and D, where we are missing the part. But let's go on to example number 3. It says here, 18 is 25% of what number? 25 is my percent, which means 18 goes with is, and we are missing the of. So again, using part over whole equals percent over 100, we can set up a proportion with the numbers that we have. Since 18 goes with the word is, it makes it our part, which is going to go on top. Because we are missing an of, we don't have the whole, so we are going to replace that with W. It says here that our percent is 25, so that's going to go on top on the right-hand side, and always on the bottom, we have 100. To solve proportions, we cross multiply. So I have 25W equals 18 times 100. To get W by itself, I will isolate it by dividing both sides by 25. The 25s cross off, leaving me with W on the right. 25 will go into 100 4 times. It's like quarters. There's 4 quarters in a dollar. And that gives me 4 times 18. You can either do that with a calculator or you can do that mentally. I know that 4 times 18 is 72, so I can do that one mentally. And then I look back, am I finding money? Am I finding a percent? I am finding neither. I'm just finding the whole amount. So I do not need to label that answer. W equals 72. So now you're able to do letters E and F where you are finding the missing whole, but let's take a look at the word problem. It says the average adult Western male lowland gorilla eats 33.5 pounds of fruit each day. Wow, that's a lot of fruit. How much food does the average adult male gorilla eat each day? Now, when you are looking at this, it's difficult to find the part and the whole based on words like of and is. These are not just statements like the previous problems. Instead, what we have to do is decide in this problem, what is the part and what is the whole? So I'm going to read it again. It says the average adult male Western lowland gorilla eats about 33.5 pounds of fruit each day. So I see pounds and I see days. Those are units of measure. So each one of those things could be a part or a whole. Then it says, how much food does the average adult male gorilla eat each day? Well, I see the word day again, but I don't see anything that represents a part of a day. So I'm not going to think that day is my whole amount or my part because there's no other measurement of time that could represent the other one. So I must look and go further. It says, how much food does the average adult male gorilla eat each day? So how much food does he eat? Food might be considered the whole, and fruit might be considered part of food. So I can see that food is the whole amount and fruit is part of it. So when I set up my proportion, part over whole equals percent over 100, I will look for a number that goes along with the fruit to be the part, and I will look for a number that goes along with food to be the whole. So let's take a look again and see what we have. It says the gorilla eats about 33.5 pounds of fruit each day. Well, 33.5 pounds of fruit. I already said the fruit is the part, so 33.5 should go on top of my proportion on the left-hand side. Then I go, okay, there's no more numbers over here, so maybe I need to look over here at this table. I can see that fruit is listed in the table and that fruit has a percent next to it. Well, since the part and the percent have to represent same things because they're both on top of my proportion, I'm going to put the 67% over here where the percent goes because it is the same as the fruit. That means on the bottom, 100 is going to go because the bottom right is always 100, and we are missing how much food, the whole amount that is eaten each day by a gorilla. Now I can cross multiply to solve my proportion. So I get 67W is equal to 33.5 times 100. I'm going to divide by 67 on both sides. 67s are going to cross off. And you would probably want to pull out your calculator at this point and go ahead and multiply and divide. But I can see that 33.5 is half of 67. So actually this fraction right here is equal to 1/2. So I'm going to do 100 divided by 2, which is going to give me 50. I go back to the problem and I look at the question. It says, how much food does the average adult male gorilla eat each day? Well, according to my answer, that is 50 pounds of food. Of the 50 pounds of food that the gorilla eat each day, 67% of it is fruit. That is 33.5 pounds of fruit. So the gorilla eats mostly fruit in its diet. Well, that takes us up to the guided practice on page 124. Go ahead and complete those letter problems, and we will go over them together in class.